What is hip? Tower of Power. They sure were a tower of power. David Garibaldi on drums, Francis Rocco Prestia on bass. Just that rhythm section. Man, just one of the tightest, funkiest rhythm sections of all time. Not to mention the horn section. Super, super tight. I wish I had a tenth of the groove of any of the guys in that band. But such a great tune, and I thought it would be a cool opportunity to do something different than I usually do on my videos, which is to talk about the horn section and talk about horn arranging. If you're a bass player watching this video right now, maybe you haven't had the opportunity to, check out, arrangements for horns and things. I was very fortunate that when I was in college, I had to take arranging, and I learned a lot about arranging for horns. And while that was primarily a jazz situation, it doesn't really matter because a lot of the same sort of rules apply regardless of the style. And I thought it'd be fun to see, like, just harmonically what's going on. Well, let's start from the beginning. And we all know the famous intro. Yeah, so the first thing, so we're on an E, right? Well, the tonality of the song, it's like an E7 sharp 9, okay? That's the vamp that we're on. And while, the guitar is playing some blues, minor pentatonic stuff, bass is just hanging on the E, but the horns voice out the chord. Now, let's talk about the horns for a second. So there's a 6-piece horn section. There's brass and there's reeds, 3 of each, okay? For those of you who don't know, brass are the trumpets and trombones, okay? And in this particular piece, there's trumpet 1, trumpet 2, and trombone, okay? So 3 brass. And as far as the reeds are the saxophones, right? Generally, there's also like clarinet and things like that, but we're not talking about that. There's the alto saxophone, which is the highest pitch in this song, although the soprano saxophone is the highest, really. There's no soprano in this. It's alto, tenor, and then baritone saxophone. So 3 reeds. So 3 brass, 3 reeds. All right. We'll start with the reeds, the saxophones. I've got a silly little patch pulled up here. Yeah, these do not sound like real saxophones, but let's just get the notes out and we'll just accept the sound for what it is. Anyway, that first chord stab, the baritone, as would be the role for the lowest pitched instrument in a group, plays the low E, okay? Next, the tenor plays the third of the chord, a G sharp, and then the alto plays a G natural, which technically speaking is an F double sharp. It's the sharp 9. That's the sound, right? It's just a great horn stab, as we call them, that short sort of blast, and goes from there. And then you have these little hits that I was illustrating. And it's interesting what happens here. So the alto plays an A, G, B. He has that little melody. The tenor plays an E, a D, and a G. Has that little melody. And then the bari plays A, G, E. So really, if you think about the bari, that's just a typical, pentatonic lick if we're in E, right? 4, 3, 1. But look how it's harmonized. That's the cool thing about horn arranging, is that you can get creative with chord tones and little melodies intertwined in each little section. So if we have an A and an E with an A on the bottom, it's just fourths, right? Same thing on the G. But then we don't continue that all the way down to like it would be, right? That's a little boring though, right? It kind of went, that's more interesting because it went up like contrary motion. You know what that is? Like when one voice goes up, the other one goes down. And that is very effective, you know, in horn arrangements and things. Okay, so that's generally what's going on those first hits there. After that, okay, let's talk about that. Just little things, and this is a really cool horn trick, and I don't know if it started with James Brown, but his band definitely did this particular thing a lot. It's called side slipping. And what it means is you play a chord and then go like a half step lower and then a half step back to where you were. By the way, the guitar is doing that too on the comping. He says thing, you know. So, okay, what do we have here? Well, the alto is going to play a D, C sharp, D. The tenor is going to play a G sharp, a G, G sharp, and the Barry is going to play a B, A sharp, B. So if you put the three notes together, that starts B, G sharp, D. It's kind of like an E7 chord, right? You got the fifth, the third, and the seventh, right? So if we're going a half step down, if we're on an E7, the next thing should look like an E flat 7, right? Sure enough, I've got a B flat, a G, and a D flat. So fifth, third, 7, right? Right. And you know, when you play that, you know, in that rhythm, that real staccato, tight kind of thing, I mean, that's really cool, man. It's like it really pushes the groove forward, right? Keep going. Okay, so we got another little stab there. The notes are different now. So from low to high, Barry's playing an E, the tenor's playing a D, and then the alto's playing a G sharp. So again, it's the E7, but it's a different voicing this time. And we're going to do the side slip again. Right? So again, E7, E flat 7, back to E7. All right? Okay. It's only a little bit more to the arrangement on this first part, and then we'll go to the brass. All right, so here's the chorus of the song. It's the hook of the song, and everybody plays it. That we start on an E, B flat, A, G. And then we do it again. But then there's that little last chord stab there that they do. And what it is, the alto from high to low is playing a B. The tenor's playing an A. And then the Barry's playing a D sharp. Okay, so let's look at that. Because, I mean, I know it sounds kind of weird by itself. That's just a B7 chord, right? You got the root on the top, B, 7 in the middle, it's an A, and then the third on the bottom, D sharp. So you could go like this to resolve it. 5-1, right? Doesn't sound weird then. Okay. A little more. Okay, so now we changed the harmony a little bit. So let's see what's going on here. So we have those little hits from high to low. We got a B, an F, and a G. It's a G7 chord, right? Third, 7, root. Then they both do it. They all do it. They do. I can't do all three at once, but it goes G, B, C, C sharp, D. Then check out the harmony here. The alto, the high part, will go B, B flat, A, G sharp. The tenor will go D, D flat, C, B. So you put those two together, you get this. All right, so that's like the interval of a sixth, right? It's like a blues turnaround, right? We've all heard that kind of thing. That's something you play on the guitar a lot, right? And then the Barry, we've got, and he walks down chromatically from G to get to the low E again. All right, cool stuff. And you see, I just want to make quick mention how at sometimes their harmonies laid out, their chord voicings, right? At other times, they're playing unison or octaves, like in the chorus, and that last little run, da 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 da. That's, if you do that the right way, it's really effective in the arrangement because, you have the thickness of the chord voicings, but then you have the simplicity of just a strong melody that everyone is playing, right? Let's move on to the brass section now. All right, so here's the brass section, and I'm using a brass patch. Let's just go with it. Let's start from the beginning, and we'll break that part down. Okay, so the first thing we have, so there's first trumpet, second trumpet, trombone, all right? And trumpets generally are, of course, they're the highest pitched instrument, but they're also usually playing the highest notes. Okay, so we have a G in the first trumpet, we got a B in the second trumpet, and we got a D in the trombone. Okay, now remember we said it was an E7 sharp 9 chord, right? Remember the saxophones spelled it out, it was an E, G sharp, and a G, right? Well, look what we have here. So if you have the G on the top, B in the middle, and a D on the bottom, you got the sharp 9, the 5th, and then the 7th, which is essentially just a G chord spread out, right? Root, 3rd, 5th. Okay. Then we have the little hits. Okay. Remember when we did the saxophones, we basically were doing a thing of A, G, E, right? Okay. Well, here, the first trumpet's playing at A, then a G, then a B. So it's a little melody there. The second trumpet is playing an E, D, G. So similar melody. It's parallel, right? Look how it's similar to what the saxophones did, right? You got a fourth here, A and E, a fourth here, G and D, and then a third, B and G. But the cool thing, now check out what the trombone does. Plays a C sharp, B, D. All right, let's see how that all sounds together. So it's basically an A chord, right? A, E, the third of the A chords in the trombone, down low, C sharp. And then it's a G chord, G, D, B. Again, the third of the G is on the bottom. And then up to, which essentially is a G chord, You could think of it as the top notes of the E7 sharp 9. You got the 7, which is a D, sharp 9, which is the G, and then the 5th, which is the B. All right. So we're going to do that for those hits. Let's keep going. So trumpets now, first trumpet's going way up. So starting on the B, D, E. Yeah, and that really just nails home like the phrase, you know? And then the second trumpet's just doing this. E, G, E. So when you put those together, we got, that's a real powerful, you know, statement on the trumpets. But then the trombone's just doing the same thing. The C sharp B D thing that he did before. So let's try the trombone with first trumpet. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, it's a little rub there just on its own. You know, it doesn't sound quite. So you got the C sharp on the bottom and then a B up 2 octaves higher. So you get like a 7th, right? And then it's a B and a D, and then again like a 7th, a D and an E. But one one thing I learned, you know, about horn arranging is that sometimes you want that rub, you know, that sort of dissonance momentarily, because it makes for a much more interesting arrangement, as opposed to everything always being sort of vanilla and just always just spelling out the chords in a very sort of linear way. Like if one, you know, voicing goes like this, then the other one should follow suit and then follow suit. No, you don't want to do that. You want to have some variety in there, first of all, to make it interesting. And second of all, I mean, the thing about it is you've got all these different horns, right? So they have the ability to play different notes from each other. Why not utilize that, right? And take advantage. Think about piano players when they voice chords out, especially in like jazz. You know, you have all these notes to choose from. You're going to have dissonant intervals sometimes. You want that. I remember I had a piano teacher in college, and we were talking about jazz chord voicings. And her criticism of me at the time was that I'd play things that were too obvious, too vanilla sounding for her taste. And she'd be like, look, just put a flat 9 in there, you know, or whatever. Or, look, you've got the 3rd in there, give it a half-step rub, you know, like that. And she'd be like, look, and then she'd put on a record of whoever it was, Bill Evans or somebody, and she'd point it out. She'd be like, look, right there, did you hear that chord? And she'd play the chord. She'd play the voicing. And then it started to kind of make sense. And that's a whole, that's a lifetime's worth of study to learn how to do that and do it really well. That's a whole other thing. Let's keep going. Cool. Let's see what the brass is doing there. This is something called chordal voicings. Q-U-A-R-T-A-L is the correct way to spell it. What it is, from low to high: trombone, F sharp, second trumpet, B, that's a 4th away, and then first trumpet, E, which is a 4th away from the B. Right? Very unusual sound. But remember, we're going to do that side slipping, right? So how does that work? Well, we've been talking about, you know, E7 sharp 9, right? Well, here it's not the sharp 9 anymore. It's the natural 9. So generally we're moving in and out of just some dominant 7 language, right? So F sharp is the 9th, B's the 5th, B's the root. There you go. Okay, so it's a great mix now of what I mentioned before about, the unison thing. Right? Now, you combine that, what was it, a G and a D, right? What do we have in the saxophones? We had a D sharp, remember, and then we had an A, and then we had a B. So that's the full voicing there that you get from the entire horn section. Remember I said it was a B7? So why would there be a G in there and a D in there? That's called a B7 altered, right? If you ever seen that in a chord chart, ALT, period, it's an altered chord. And what that means is you're changing the ninth and the fifth. So let's check that out. So what's a B7 chord? B, D sharp, F sharp, A, right? Well, we've got the third on the bottom, which is the D sharp. We've got an A, which is the seventh. We've got a D. The D is the sharp 9. Just like we had the E7 sharp 9. Well, a ninth from B would be a C sharp, right? If you sharp a C sharp, say that 10 times fast, you get a D. Okay? Now, so that's the sharp 9. We also want the sharp 5. 5 from B is an F sharp. If you sharp an F sharp, you get a G. Right? So, and then the root's on the top, the B. There you go. So interesting there. Remember we said it was like a G7 now they're doing those hits on. And it's a D on the first trumpet, and then it's an A in the trombone. So it's fifth and ninth on a G7 chord. And the second trumpet is just, he's kind of improvised. He's just soloing there. Cool. Same thing. Everybody's doing that little lick. First trumpet goes up to a high G. Trombone comes down to an F. Or I should say goes up to an F like this. So this is going to sound weird because it's interval of a seventh. But yeah, that's what it is. Okay, and the arrangement goes on, right? This video would be 6 hours long if I did the whole arrangement. So I'm just going to stop there. Let you guys digest some of that if you choose. And hopefully it was somewhat informative about what a horn section does in a band. Well, I hope you enjoyed that breakdown. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this to come. And thanks for watching.